Saraswati Namastubhyam Varadhe Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Namaste everyone. Welcome to this tutorial on Murdhanyatvam Sandhi. So the context for this is when we're looking at Rama Shabda. So let me pull up Rama Shabda. We see in the seventh case, Saptami Vibhakti, we see Rame, Ramayoho, and Rameshu. So we want to zoom in on that 7-3. When we're adding Rama, the Pratipadika Rama, we want to add the suffix su, just su. What happens is that akara becomes a, so it becomes Rame, and then we add su. So Ramesu. But here, if we look at the chart, it says Rameshu. So you notice the difference. Before I was saying sa, like Saraswati sa, and here I'm saying sha, like Shanmuksha. So how does that sakara become shakara is the question. Now, the phonetical change, the difference in sound is by something what we call sandhi. A sandhi is a phonetical change, a change in the way something sounds. Now, this change in sound happens by something called Murdhanyatvam Sandhi. So Murdhanyatva, I'll show you, if we look at in our mouth, there's a few places which sounds are made. The third we see here is murdha, the roof of our mouth. The murdha is murdha. So we're going from this sakara, let's find the sakara on the chart here. Yeah, here, which is made from our teeth, a dental sakara. That sakara is made from our teeth. And then we're going to the shakara, which is a cerebral or made from the roof of their mouth. You see the shakara here. So now that roof part is called murdhanya. Therefore, this is called Murdhanyatvam Sandhi. How to make a transition from the sakara to the shakara made from the roof of the mouth, it's a cerebral sound. Okay, so let's look at the sandhi. Going to stop sharing this and share here. Okay. So here we have Murdhanyatvam Sandhi. So this is in your Sandhi book. You can look it up in the index and you'll find this here. It's number 9, Murdhanyatvam, if you look in the index, for consonants, under consonant sandhi or hal sandhi. So you'll notice a few things here. First, we can ignore, so here's the name, Murdhanyatvam Sandhi. We can ignore this. This is actually the sutra from Panini from which we get this sandhi rule. So this is the actual original words by Panini Muni, which give us this rule. We won't be looking into the details of that though at this moment. We need to see is here. So murdhanya, or that shakara, is the substitute in the place of sakara when the following conditions are fulfilled. So what are those following conditions? When the sakara is a adesha or replacement, or is a part of a pratyaya. Okay, so when the sakara is an adesha, a replacement of a previous modification, or as a pratyaya. Now, we don't need to worry about adesha here. We need to focus on this. It's part of a pratyaya because we're adding su, 7-3, right? 7-3 su. This is a pratyaya, a suffix that's going to be added to the pratipadika, the nominal root. So when we add this to that pratipadika, this is what we call a pratyaya, suffix. So we fulfilled number 1, right? The sa is a pratyaya, right? It's either or. It can be an adesha or pratyaya. Here is a pratyaya. Number 2, when the sakara is preceded by in or ka varga. So what they call is in or ku. In or ku. And we'll cover what both of those are in a second here. And number 3, when the sakara is not at the end of the pada. So the sa cannot be at the end of a word, right? Okay, it cannot be at the end of the word. It has to be somewhere in between. Okay, like for example, when we say rame su, that's saka. We still have an u at the end, so it's not the end of the word here. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so I said it must. Let's look back at number 2. The sakara must be preceded by in or kavarga. Now, what is in? For in, we need to look at what we call the Maheshwara Sutrani. It's this chart which gives us clues, gives us abbreviations for certain letters. The first letter we see is E. We can circle that E. And the second is Na. Now there's 2 nakaras here, this one and this one. For this one, we want to take the second nakara, okay? We really want to take that second nakara, so I'll erase this first one. So in, when I refer to in, it includes all of the things except for what's in the circles. Okay, so let me do something else. Let me highlight this in, and it ends here. Okay, so in includes all of the simple vowels except for akara. And it includes the diphthongs a, o, I, ow. These 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It includes ha plus all of the semivowels. Ha plus all of the semivowels, excluding what's in these circles. Right? So we're going to exclude a, we're going to include u, r, l. Okay, so all of these things right here are what included in. We include e, but we do not exclude nakara. So it's finally in is e, u, r, l, e, o, I, ow, ha, ya, va, ra, and la. Lang. Okay, so let's go back and we'll write that in. What is in? In is all vowels, right? All vowels. You can see it here. These are all the vowels. And we can make a little note here, except a. And semivowels plus hakara. All right, so all vowels plus semivowels, except we want to disclude akara and we want to include hakara. Okay, that makes sense. So all vowels plus semivowels minus akara plus hakara. So let me make this a little bit more clear here. Minus a plus ha. Okay, the second thing is ku. Ku refers to kavarga. Kavarga is all the letters in the alphabet. Let me show you that are in the ka, in the line with ka. So let's look at, we see what's in line with ka is ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. So these 5 letters are what we refer to as ku, ka, kha, ga, gha, na. Okay. So let me pull that back up. So ku varga, let's write that in. Ka, kha, ga, gha, and that nakara, right? That nakara, which is like this exactly. All right, so these 5 letters, ka, ka, ga, ga, nga, is one. So when either of these precede that sakara, let's look at it here. When in or ku precedes sakara as a pratyaya, let's get rid of this right now. Sa a pratyaya, then that murdhanya shakara will replace that sakara, right? So when in or ku is preceding, it's immediately preceding this sakara pratyaya or sakara of adesha, but here we're focusing on sakara pratyaya. And look, it's not at the end of the word. There's some space here. And so then that sa will get replaced by shakara here at the bottom. All right, so it seems like a lot to remember, but it's not as complex as it sounds. Let's look at some examples. So I'll go to the next page here. Okay. So in the following example, nominal suffixes are suffixed in nominal basis. So what they're saying is supratyas are adding to pratipadikas. Okay. This is our example here. Let's look at this. Rame su. What I have is Rame. I have a here, which is preceding sa of supratyaya, sakara of supratyaya. So I'm meeting my conditions. Number 1 of the conditions was sakara must be an adesha or a pratyaya. So I have su pratyaya. Second condition is must be preceded by in or ku. Here it's preceded by a, which is part of in because it's a vowel or semi-vowel. And so we have the minus a plus hakara. So it's part of in. And when it proceeds, and it's not at the end of the word. So this is the third condition. You see here that it's not at the end of the word. We see some space here. When these 3 conditions are met, this shakara will replace this sakara here. Okay, so here we have rame su, then this sha replaces sa, and so we end up with rame shu. We haven't learned hari shabda, but the same thing happened essentially. Hari plus su becomes hari shu. You have to see whether that vowel proceeds. Look at some examples here. Sarve plus su. Sarve shu. Why? Because 1, we have sakara of a pratyaya. Su is part of sup pratyaya. The sakara is part of sup pratyaya, so its first condition is met. It's preceded by a. A is part of in, therefore, second condition is met. And third, that sakara is not at the end. We still have u afterwards. So it becomes sa becomes sha, and we get sarve shu. Let's do 1 or 2 more examples. Let's look at hari su. No, we already saw hari su. Let's look at number 3, guru su. Guru. Let's look at this. So we have first condition, su. Sakara is ava pratyaya, first condition met. It's preceded by ukara. U is part of in, therefore second condition is met. And the third is not at the end of the word because we still have u at the end. So it becomes guru shu. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. You can see there's a few more examples. They will all become essentially the same. Hari su becomes hari shu. Kartru su becomes kartru shu. Mati su becomes mati shu. Bak su, this is an interesting one. Here, number 8, we have sakara of a pratyaya preceded by So first condition is met. It's preceded by in or ku. Here it's preceded by ka, ku. So it's preceded by ku instead of in, okay? So it's preceded by ku, which is all of kavarga, ka ka ga ga na, right? That ka is part of ku. So therefore, and it's also not at the end of the word, the third condition, so it becomes vakshu. We can write it like this. Or we can write it like this. Vakshu or vakshu. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. That's the end of our tutorial on Murdhanyatvam Sandhi, making that sakara shakara. So in case you are particularly interested on learning that, this is how it's done. So we'll end with a prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.